Okay, so now we're going to pre-mix the colours that we're going to use for this painting. I've got another sheet here because we're going to do an exercise as well, just showing you how to do the shapes and stretch them out. But this is pretty much how I kind of set up. I've grouped it together so it all fits on the camera. But the first thing I do is with the syringe, I will make a pool of water about that much. And I'm going to make 5 pools of water which correspond to the 5 values that we talked about earlier that are on the face. So the first pool, which I call red 1, will be what we start with monochromatically to do the features and the mid-tones. And then I'll split that off into the other pools. So if I do it, it will kind of make sense. So I'm going to start with the with this pool, the Pyrrole Red, which is here. Again, I'll put a list of all the paints I use on the download link. Now it's vital when you are mixing this is why I've got this test paper, make sure that you start dark enough, because this starting colour is what is going to be the finished value of the painting. If you start this too light, then at the end it's all just going to look too wishy-washy, and you'll have to go over glazed areas again to make them darker, and then it can start getting messy. So that's too light, so we want to make it darker than that. And this is where it takes a bit of practice to get the right value. See, that's probably about right. And just remember that this is going to lighten up so much, probably about half. So that will probably lighten up to roughly around that when it's actually dried in. So rarely do I put a pure colour down like this, because it's a bit too vibrant, unless that's the kind of look you're going for. But I will desaturate that with, this is sepia. Put that in there, or you can put some blue, Prussian blue, or a bit of ivory black, just a little bit, just to take the edge off, just a little bit more. There, it's not quite so vibrant. So that's the red 1, which is what we'll use to begin with to do the monochromatic midtones. So then I will get the syringe and pull up a fair amount, and then split that into some pools of water that will correspond to the different values. So that's value 0 is the highlight, which is the white paper. This will be value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be red 1, this will be red 2, which I'll make slightly darker than that, or you can make it more colourful. You can change the colour. On this one I'm just going to add a little bit more sepia into that, so you can see that you've got a slightly different red there to that one. So this is useful when I'm doing the larger washes, which you'll see I do two washes, and these look sort of contrasty to each other. I'll then use this pool, which I call blush. So that's for doing the bit more saturation under the nose, on the nose, around the eyes, the ears, and on the mouth as well. So on the features where you want to inject that colour, I'll be using from here. So I generally go in with a bit of pink. This is Opera Pink. It's a very powerful colour, so you don't need to put too much in there. You see already that's, so I put a bit more in and desaturate it with a bit of sepia there. So you can see that's the three colours, red 1, red 2 and the blush. And then this pool would be for the shadows, which will be, you know, the socket, the eye socket, the underneath the nose and parts of the mouth. So this, you can, it's up to you. I always start with a red 1 and red 2 and the blush, and then depending on what kind of feel you want for the painting, you could have the shadow as going more black, so use ivory black. You could have it as a more purple, or you could have it as a more brown. Depends what kind of feel you want to have. For this painting, I'm going to go more of a kind of brown shadow, which would be just adding more sepia, so just keeping it nice and simple. And you can see that that's a bit too light. We want it to be a bit darker than that, so I'll add a bit of ivory black just to darken that up a bit, and there you go. And then with the final pool, that's going to be where I'm going to add the coolness into it. So this will be for value 5, which will be the hair, the nostrils, the mouth, and the shadow of the hair, the stubble on the chin there. So this will be more of a bluer colour to add the coolness. So I use Prussian blue, which again is a very powerful colour, so you don't need too much in there. And that's kind of like a nice purpley kind of blue, maybe a bit more blue. Yeah, that's probably about right. Now throughout the painting, sometimes I kind of change the colours as I go along, so I might mix a bit of the blue with the blush if I feel that it looks too vibrant, but this is the starting point. Sometimes I can go through a whole painting and just use those colours as they sit, or as I say, I can change them as well. So that's mixing the colours. Just wanted to show you a quick exercise, because when we're putting these shapes in, you know, we'll be starting normally on the nose and then stretching the shape out, and I just want to show you how you do that really. So let's get rid of that. This can be a good exercise to do just to get used to putting these shapes down. So I'm just going to put a shape down, doesn't have to be exact, I'm just roughly following that nose shadow there. So you put the shape down, plenty of water, keeping it nice and clean. So that's the shape. You then want to clean the brush, and then based on the reference that you're following, you then want to pull that shape out. It will become clearer when we're actually doing the painting itself. But just as an exercise, just clean your brush and then just go in and just, you can move up to the shape. So I'm putting the wet brush and going up and then letting it come out and smoothing that down. And that'll bleed through there. Or again, I can come from the shape and move out. So you get a gradient that way. And just practice doing these shapes and how you stretch the pigment out so that you get nice clean shapes going on. And you can practice this, you know, with all the other shades as well. Just do a random shape, doesn't have to be anything in particular. All we're worried about is just getting it as clean as possible. Cleaning the brush and then stretching it out from there, 'cause this is what we'll be doing a lot of in the painting. Again, putting the water down and then coming up to the shape and letting that bleed through. So have a little experiment with that. That can help just understand what we're going to be doing when we actually come to do the painting itself. So with the sketch, I'm gonna, with masking tape, put it onto a board so it's flat, and you have to mask it down because obviously the paper's gonna crinkle. So get it nice and flat, and then you're ready to go with the painting.